Okay, look, I'm probably one of the few experts on this in the entire fucking world. A shrink is somebody who's paid to lie to you, and they know that they're lying to you based on a book that is fucking fallacy. So, some dumbass had the nerve to tell me that I didn't understand mental illnesses, and if doctors really wanted to make money, they would have been lawyers instead. Well, I've seen a lot of lawyers scraping to make ends meet, and I've seen some doctors making $1 million a year, so shut that madness down. Remember, the kickbacks is when the companies pay the doctor to promote their drug, and they get, as much as half of their income. Even more can come from kickbacks. Now, talk about mental illness, and that's off the record. Mental illness versus a state of mind, okay? Let's read the definition of mental illness for the second time in my series, just for you morons, just to kill it, because this video is about killing all doubt. The opposition view is going to be dressed and blown out of the water. The opposition view is, I don't understand what a mental illness is, and that what I'm confusing for a state of mind is really a mental illness. Now, let's blow that idea out the water. First, let's address that I know what it is, that my definition is correct, that what I've been saying all this time is correct. Then we'll address that the difference between the two. First, let's read the definition. Mental illness is any disease or condition affecting the brain that influences the way a person thinks, feels, behaves, and relates to others and to his or her surroundings. Okay, so notice they're talking about it's something in you that influences the way you relate to your surroundings. Not something in your surroundings is causing a change in state of mind in you. Although the symptoms of a mental illness can range from mild to severe and are different depending on the type of mental illness, a person with an untreated mental illness is often is unable to cope with life's daily routines and demands. Okay, that is where it's similar. A person with an untreated state of mind, who's still in that same horrible state of mind, is going to be unable to cope as well. So there is similarities, but there's key differences which make my videos make absolute sense. Not only make sense, but this is the truth, as opposed to the bullshit they present you while they're getting paid $250,000 a year to do it. Now, what causes mental disorders? Okay, heretics. See, first they talk about saying they don't know the exact cause, okay, because they're fucking morons. It goes on to say heredity, genetics, biology. When they say biology, they means is abnormal balance of special chemicals in the brains and neurotransmitters. Psychological trauma, environmental stressors. So, out of all these things, the last one on the list, and not because it's in order, is environmental stressors. And they don't even bring up important stressors from the environment. They just talk about death, divorce, dysfunctional family life, changing jobs, schools, substance abuse. What about going to war? What about, relationship problems? There's so many other environmental stressors they don't want to touch on because this blows up their whole argument. So they say, oh, we'll just put a few there. Now, as I've addressed that, let's talk about why I'm right now. Okay, remember, mental disorder, they say is a problem in you. They're saying it's a more permanent problem. I said state of mind is a temporary problem. It's caused by the environment. It's the environment's fault, not your fault. The stressors in the environment have caused it. It's stress and nutrition and what's going on around you and the people around you. Not psychological problems. Not genetic problems. Okay, genetic problems as far as, okay, look, as far as being in your parents' household and their personality rubbing off on you, sure. But as far as them passing on genetically the material in their body that makes you a certain way, on a far less degree. That's on such a far less degree, it's almost irrelevant. Okay, so I've proven to you, again, that the people from Vietnam, World War II, World War I, where post-traumatic stress was a huge issue. No one would dare say the environment wasn't the key factor. But these morons would have you believe that the heredity and the biology and the psychological drama is the key factors. Okay? Now, let's go on to address the doctors. But if doctors wanted to make money, they would have been lawyers instead. That's why Africa loses $2 billion in doctors leaving the continent. Now, I'm not talking about rich, oil-rich Africa, like Libya and Egypt. Am I talking about places with stockpiles of gold? Or am I talking about sub-Saharan Africa? They can't afford to lose $2 billion. Sub-Saharan African countries that invest in training doctors have ended up losing $2 billion as the expert clinicians leave home to find work in more prosperous developed nations, researchers have said. Just like I said, psychiatry was a Ponzi scheme. It's worse than Bernie Madoff. It makes what Bernie Madoff did look like Girl Scouts ripping you off on a box of cookies. Okay? Africa, just like you, just like the individual patient feeding that money into the psychiatrist, hoping for light at the end of the tunnel. Africa threw $2 billion hoping for light at the end of the tunnel. And what did these demonic scumbags do? They packed up and left. What will your psychiatrist do once you're fucked beyond help? Once you're brain dead and you're a vegetable hooked up to a machine, hoping that they legalize euthanasia so you can end your misery? What will the psychiatrist do? They will pack up and leave and say, it's not my fault. It's all these other factors. It's not the demon pills we're giving them. You're scum. A study by Canadian scientists found that South Africa, notice, who did the study? A Canadian scientist did the study because America doesn't give a shit. Germany doesn't give a shit. Any country that is practicing this on a large scale, is not providing the quality of healthcare that Canada does not give a shit. But Canada gives a slight shit. So they did a study, and they told you what I've been saying, like no fucking shit. To the point where it's a critical shortage, a critical problem. Just like psychiatry, just like sending Jews to a camp and then saying they should be thrown in a fire because some shrink said they're unfit, because some shrink determined whether or not they're worthy to live. Thou shalt not judge. You piece of shit. Ring a bell. Then we get the WHO guys, the World Health Organization. Blah, blah, blah. Where were you motherfuckers when a post-traumatic stress was rampant in Vietnam? 10,000 Day War, you guys didn't say a fucking thing. Where were you motherfuckers? From 1808 to now, when there's a huge outcry against psychiatry and you're covering it up. I'll tell you who the WHO are. The WHO are a bunch of illuminati pawns. Fuck them too.